Creating the decision tree. Part 1. Having created a damage distribution function for potential crop damages, we are ready to start creating a tree that will help the farmer decide along the path of her decisions. At least, 2 decisions should be considered. First of all, is it worth to hire a field consultant to instruct her on what to do? Second, what type of mitigation strategy, if any, she should implement in order to minimize her potential damages? Go to blank worksheet tree and place the cursor on top of the cell that will start the tree, A1. Click on the first icon on the PrecisionTree ribbon to create a decision tree. A new window appears showing the settings that could be altered to this newly created tree. Change its name to PestControl. On the second tab, Calculation, change the Optimum Path to a Minimum Payoff since this is a tree that seeks to minimize total cost of the strategy to be selected. We still need to reconsider settings for at-risk interaction defined on the last tab. However, we will come back here again later on. Click OK to start creating the decision tree. Click on the node, the blue triangle, to define its settings. This should be a decision node, a green square. Click on it to define the type of the first decision that has to be evaluated, whether to hire a field consultant or not. Fill in the proper information on the following window as seen. Remember that hiring the field consultant will cost $1,000. By clicking OK here, PrecisionTree will start populating the tree. At this point the tree should look like this. Start building the structure in case the first decision is to contract. Click on the final end node for contract on top of the tree. After having defined this node also as a decision 1, the following window appears. Fill in the information by adding an additional line to include 3 possible alternatives: doing nothing, applying a chemical pest control strategy, or applying a biocontrol strategy. As you notice, none of these options carries by itself any value, since the decision itself does not have a cost. It is the consequences of further actions that might eventually carry a value. After clicking OK, the tree should look like this. Now we fill in the information following the upper node of doing nothing. Click on this node and select it as a chance node, that is, as a node that shows all chances or possible outcomes if we decide to do nothing. Notice that chance nodes show a field for probability. Fill in names for the 2 possible outcomes of doing nothing, no impact and impact. Fill in probability information with 30% and 70% respectively. Leave the value field at 0 as we might come back later on to update this information. The next node to complete is for the chemical strategy. It entails 3 different courses of action which can be shown with a decision node. Therefore, click on the chemical node and create a structure with a decision node with 3 different alternatives for organic, weak chemical, and strong chemical. Notice that at this point we include the costs of each one of these 3 strategies. Each one of them carries a value of 5,000, 7,000 and 9,000 respectively. At this point, the tree should look like this. Each one of these strategies now faces potential chances or consequences. This requires inserting chance or probability nodes, depicted by red circles. For each one of the 3 strategies, organic, weak chemical and strong chemical, 2 potential outcomes are possible. Either the strategy is effective or ineffective. Add a subnode to each one of these 3 nodes considering their respective probabilities. For example, for organic, the node settings window should look like this. We will come back to the probability and value settings. At this point, just include probabilities that add up to 100% for both options, effective and ineffective, and leave the values at 0. For the organic node, include a probability of effectiveness equal to 30%. Therefore, also include a probability of ineffectiveness using its complement of 70%. PrecisionTree allows copying subtrees for time-saving purposes. Copy the subtree, starting at the very last created chance node for organic by right-clicking on it and choosing to copy subtree. Then, place on top of the next end node for weak chemical, right-click on it, and select the option for pasting the subtree. After confirmation, the effective and ineffective probabilities of this node should be changed to 33.3% and 1-33.3%, respectively. Do the same operation for the strong chemical option and then simply change the effective and ineffective probabilities of this node to 70% and 30% respectively. This section of the tree should now look like this, without considering the values which have not been added yet. For the biocontrol node, 2 strategies are evaluated: ladybugs and conservation. Create a decision node at this point and insert their respective alternatives and values as follows. Change the name to biocontrol type. Write the first branch as ladybugs with a value of 1000 and then the other branch as conservation with a value of 1500. To each one of these two decision nodes, add chance nodes for their respective potential outcomes. Do not mind at this point the values. The name of the first chance node should be consequences of ladybugs. Remember, it can be copied from the previous chance node subtree. Change the ineffective and ineffective probabilities to 30% and 70% respectively. Create a second chance node for consequences of conservation, which could be copied from the previous chance node subtree. Change the effective and ineffective probabilities to 35% and 65% respectively. This section of the tree at this point should look like this. Without considering the values that have not been added yet,